Hello everyone and welcome. This is Christine with Powder Crafts, and today I am going to be making a card set. This is going to be a holiday gift, and I'm going to be using this paper pad here from Scrapping for Less. This is called Golden Beach. Love this pattern here. I'm going to try to see if I can make that just the card panel itself. So just flipping through the different patterns that you can expect to find in this pattern paper pad. I'm also going to be using this mod rectangle die set. This is from Scrapping for Less. It's got a double stitched edge, so I love a stitched edge. I'll be using the Octopus Die, also from Scrapping for Less, and the Ocean's Sentiment die set. Not really using too many images for these cards because I want them to be able to be used for anything. So I want them to be able to be used for birthdays, thank yous, thinking of you, all kinds of cards, because this will be a gift. I have not decided how many cards is going to be in this set. I've just decided however many cards I get out of it is how big the gift set's going to be. And the reason for that is sometimes it can just be really stressful. So we're just going to see how many we get. So this card, I want this image to be the focal point on a card. Like, I just love it. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it down. At first, I'm thinking I'm going to need to make this a square card. But once I trim down the two sides and the bottom, I'm like, you know what? This looks like I might be able to just use this on a card base. So I'm going to go ahead and put it onto a card base and see, yeah, guess what? That works. And I was pretty excited. Not that I don't mind square cards, it's just cutting the card base for a square card. The rest of that cardstock for me tends to just kind of go into a stash to use as a mat. And sometimes it's just a little bit of an odd shape, and I've got some weird pieces of cardstock that just don't get used. So this definitely is going to fit for my card panel. That's pretty much all I'm going to do. So we are going to go ahead and adhere that on to a black card base. This is just some 100-pound cardstock from a big box store. There's nothing real special about it. It works great for card bases for me, and it's fairly inexpensive when I pick it up using a coupon. So I'm super happy with this. This definitely is just going to be just like this. I'm not going to add anything else. But I will put a mat on the inside, a white mat, because clearly writing on black cardstock, you're not really going to see it. And anytime I use colored cardstock, even if you could see on it with a pen, I always add a white mat to the inside. I won't be showing adding anything to the insides. The inside of these cards, because this is a gift and it's just kind of a blank card set, I'm not doing anything to the insides. I might, with some of the scraps at the end, before I gift it, just see if I can get enough scraps to maybe add a horizontal or a vertical piece of pattern paper on the inside, but that would probably be all I'm going to do. I'm not adding any sentiments. I'm not adding any images or any of that. So I had this scrap of gold cardstock. This is from an old card kit. And this is, I have a smaller piece, but then I have this longer piece, which will be long enough for the front of the card. So I'm just trimming down this piece of pattern paper. I thought this would go really nicely with that gold paper, but there are some words on the pattern paper that I want to make sure I get, especially that beach. So it's fun, beach, summer, and there's, that does repeat, but I want to make sure I can get 3 of those words clearly on the so it shows on the card front. So we'll go ahead, trim down the card base. I'm going to end up cutting down the gold pattern paper. I do end up using a much smaller strip than I first intended. I thought it would be bigger, but again, because of the words, it's just going to be a tiny strip. And for whatever reason, I thought this had its own sticky back, but it does not. So I had to use some ATG to put that down. I'm going to just go ahead and put my pattern paper right over the top and add the sentiment from the Ocean Sentiments stamp set that says "The Ocean is Calling." And I did use I think this is the smallest double stitched mod rectangle die. So bringing that die back in, I thought it'd be fun to put this bathing suit on the front of a card. I'm choosing that bottom one because the swimsuit fully fits there, but I'm also getting a little bit of the life preserver. So we're going to go ahead and use that bottom part, which is great because then I can use the other part of the cards for another card where I originally was going to cut that image from. It wouldn't have worked very well. So I have this larger scrap piece here that has some shells on it. So I'm going to go ahead and just fussy cut 3 of the shells to kind of just decorate this card. The thing with this scrap is that most of it has like a cut edge on it. So I will have to make sure that those go directly on the edge of the card so it looks like it was done on purpose. So just got a piece of white cardstock here. This is a 100-pound cardstock, again, from a big box store. We'll go ahead, add this main panel on. Then I'm going to add the swimsuit piece with some foam tape. And then I will go ahead and adhere down my 3 seashells. And I'm just adding those directly onto the card with ATG. So I've got my first 3 cards done. So let's see what else we can do. So the starfish pattern paper here, I'm going to use this as my main panel. And then I thought it'd be fun to bring in the octopus. I did cut that from some pink cardstock from my stash. I'm going to add just a little scrap of this dark gray cardstock to the back just to, you know, so the eyes and the mouth there are not the pattern paper. Then I'm going to stamp out the sentiment which says, "Let's trek to the ocean." So I went ahead and stamped that on some white cardstock, and just to make it a little more decorative, I'm going to trim that down with a slight angle. It kind of blends in a little bit to the card. So I'm bringing in this pen here. This is a glitter marker. I believe it's from Martha Stewart. Yes, it's a Martha Stewart glitter marker. I received one in a card kit, and I mentioned how much I loved it. And one of my teammates, Stacy, sent me, I think it was this blue one. I think I got the green one and she sent me the blue one. Just love these glitter markers. So I had just a little bit of glitter to that sentiment. So we'll go ahead and put that down, and then I'm going to pop the octopus up on some foam tape. And we are going to call this card done. I kind of debated if I wanted to use some Wink of Stella on it, but sometimes I can go overboard. So we're going to leave it, and I might add it later. So now this is the part where I start having to kind of put some papers together so that I can, make a full card panel. So I'm just using this pattern paper. This was from the first card that I made. This was the other side. So we're going to go ahead and put that down, and then the bikini shell and life preserver pattern paper here. Now I put that kind of on, I guess, at a weird angle. Maybe I cut it wrong to begin with, but I did have to trim the very edge off because it was just weird. I'm using a Love from Lizzie white peel sticker here to kind of define where those 2 pattern papers meet. Not really define, but kind of like, I like to, when I'm putting 2 pieces of pattern paper together, I like to have something that kind of divides them, and that is what I did there. So again, I'm using the Ocean is Calling sentiment, using the small mod rectangle die with the double stitching, and we'll call that card done. That sentiment does get popped up on some foam tape. This card here is one that's basically just going to be pattern paper. So I'm just going to stick these 2 pieces of pattern paper on the card base. Then I'll trim off any excess. I also bring in another one of those Love from Lizzie white peel stickers, again, between those two pattern papers. Once I feel like I have that on straight, we'll go ahead and trim off the excess. And then I decided to look through this pattern paper, like what else can I do with this? So I decided to take that starfish pattern paper that I used for the octopus, and I'm going to just trim that down. I'm going to mat that on some dark blue cardstock and just kind of make that a focal point on the card. Now the scrap piece of blue cardstock that I pulled out was a little bit shorter than the pattern paper that I trimmed. So I just took my scissors and cut a straight line so that it would fit on this blue pattern paper, and then just trim down the other side so that the four sides were somewhat equal. Pop that up on some foam tape, and we call that card done. Now for this card, I was going to make a memory decks card. I have the Barn Memory Decks die from Scrapping for Less, but the pattern paper was not big enough for that. So I decided to finish up using this piece of paper. I'm going to make a couple of 3x3 cards, but I'm not sure how many I'm going to be able to get because I'm kind of saying, all right, I know I can get 2, but maybe I can squeeze 3 out. So this piece of paper, I'm just trimming down to be 2 pieces that are 3x3. And I'm just going to add those on to these mini card bases here I trimmed. And those are 3x6 scored at 3 to make 3x3 cards. And just adding some ATG, and those 3x3 cards are completely done, perfect for like a little gift or just a quick little thank you. So these are all the scraps that I have left. I'm not going to make any more cards with them today. So I think this is a nice little set here for Christmas that somebody might appreciate getting. Good for, you know, those Secret Santas or those gift exchanges where people are like, oh, let's not spend a whole lot of money. I know a lot of my friends and family love it when I give them some handmade cards to use for their own personal use, so I thought this would be great. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more and you're not already, hit that subscribe button. But until next time, bye!